Lieutenant Colonel Mara Collins, a woman whose every movement was etched with the discipline of 2 decades in uniform, found herself on an unexpected detour. Her sleek, unassuming sedan glided through the unfamiliar, pothole-riddled streets of Havenwood, a town that usually existed only as a distant pinprick on her operational maps. She wasn't lost. This was a calculated reroute. Her mother, her rock and guiding star, had been rushed into emergency surgery at a hospital across Orion City. Mara had a critical 20-minute window to get there, but then her GPS, her steadfast companion, flickered and froze, its screen a blank, unyielding canvas. Frustration, a rare visitor for Mara, pricked at her. She pulled over to the curb, hoping to coax the reluctant device back to life, pausing for just 10 seconds. That was all it took. A white patrol car, as if summoned by a silent, predatory instinct, swerved to a halt directly behind her. No flashing lights, no blaring sirens, just a menacing hum of an engine and the palpable arrogance of its occupants. 2 officers emerged. The first, a hulking figure whose name Mara would later learn was Officer Hammer Higgins, was a sweat-slicked, red-faced brute, his shoulders already coiled, spoiling for a confrontation. The second, Officer Smirk Stanley, was wiry and gaunt, a chilling grin plastered across his face as his thumb idly stroked his handcuffs, a disturbing tic that suggested a perverse pleasure in restraint. Well, Hammer sneered, his voice a low growl that carried the weight of unspoken prejudice. Looks like the Halloween greetings came early this year. His eyes, narrowed slits, lingered on Mara's perfectly pressed olive green uniform. It bore no visible insignia, no overt display of rank, a deliberate choice for this off-duty, urgent dash. But her posture, sharp and resolute, spoke volumes, a silent testament to years of commanding respect. Mara slowly turned, her gaze steady, unwavering. "Is there a problem, officers?" she asked, her voice precise and unwavering, each word a carefully placed stone. "Fearless, aren't we?" Smirk chuckled, his grin widening, revealing a flash of yellow teeth. "Nice costume. Get that from a surplus store, Colonel?" The word Colonel was dripping with sarcastic disdain, a deliberate provocation. Mara didn't flinch. Her eyes, cool and analytical, met Smirk's. "Lieutenant Colonel, United States Army," she corrected, her voice carrying an unshakable authority that seemed to momentarily deflate their arrogance. They hesitated, a fleeting moment of doubt crossing their faces before erupting in harsh, grating guffaws. Their laughter was loud and boisterous, like a pack of hyenas mistaking a lion for easy prey. "Yeah, right," Hammer scoffed, wiping a bead of sweat from his brow. "Your kind always has a story." The unspoken implication hung heavy in the air, a poisonous shroud of racial bias. Mara's jaw tightened, a muscle twitching almost imperceptibly. "I'm not obligated to justify myself to street provocateurs," she stated, her voice laced with controlled fury as she calmly reached for her phone, her fingers already navigating to a preset contact. "Hands where I can see 'em." Hammer barked, his voice suddenly sharp, laced with surge of aggression. "I'm making a call," she countered, her thumb hovering over the dial button. "Only if it's a dispatch. Turn around." "There's no legal cause." "No warrant," she asserted, her voice rising slightly, a hint of steel entering its tone. The line was unforgivable. Hammer, his patience evaporated, lunged. He grabbed Mara's arm, his grip crushing, and twisted it violently. She didn't resist. That wasn't how she was trained. Her movements were always calculated, never a wasted motion. But the unexpected force made her knees buckle as he shoved her roughly onto the searing hood of her own car. The hot metal seared her cheek, leaving a burning brand. She tasted blood, a metallic tang on her tongue. "Where are your soldiers now, Colonel?" Smirk whispered into her ear, his breath hot and stale, laced with triumphant cruelty. She didn't scream. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction. Instead, in a voice barely audible, a venomous hiss between gritted teeth, she bit out, "You just committed a federal offense." The phone, still clutched in her hand, clattered to the ground. Its screen was miraculously still lit. With surgical precision, she used her grip, not a struggle, but a calculated defensive maneuver designed to create distance. She rolled to the pavement, scooped up her phone, her fingers already flying across the screen, tapping out a code. General Thorne, Black Protocol. Officer down. GPS active. She barked into the receiver, her voice suddenly clear and resonant, cutting through the haze of pain and adrenaline. The line was silent for a tense second, then crackled. Lieutenant Colonel, units inbound. District notified. 5-minute window. The crisp, authoritative voice on the phone, echoing with the weight of the United States military, reverberated in the sudden quiet of the street. Mara rose, her uniform smudged, a trickle of blood from her lip, but unbroken. Officer Higgins flinched, his bravado visibly deflating. "Units inbound?" he repeated, his voice laced with nervous, incredulous laugh. "She's bluffing. No way. She's just a woman in a Halloween costume." Officer Stanley mumbled, his face paling, the earlier grin wiped clean, replaced by a growing fear. But Mara now stood taller, her very presence radiating an unyielding strength. Blood trickled from her lip, but her eyes, now blazing with a cold fury, were fixed on the two men. "Yes, but I'm broken," she said, her voice a low, dangerous rumble. "You're not afraid of me. You're afraid of who's listening." The street would have been alive with the mundane sounds of city life moments ago, fell into an unnatural silence. Then a distant thrum, a familiar rhythmic beat, began to reverberate through the sky, the unmistakable sound of helicopter blades rapidly approaching. A sleek black SUV, utterly devoid of lights or identifying markings, the kind reserved for high-stakes federal operations, glided to a stop. The rear door opened with clinical precision, revealing a woman of formidable presence, composed and elegant, with striking blonde hair pulled back in a severe bun. She radiated a lethal calm. Her uniform, impeccably tailored, gleamed with the unmistakable insignia of high rank and undeniable authority. She moved with the silent, irresistible force of a thunderclap, even in heels. "Officers Higgins and Stanley," she commanded, her voice cutting through the tension like a razor. "Step back." Stanley, caught in the sudden, blinding glare of official power, froze. "Who the hell are you?" he stammered, his bravado utterly shattered. She didn't dignify his question with a verbal response. Instead, she simply flashed a badge, its crimson seal prominently displayed. "Supervisory Agent Katrina Arrow, United States Army Criminal Division. You are under federal investigation for assault on a superior officer, destruction of evidence, and unlawful detention." Her voice was calm, but each word hit with lethal weight. Higgins, refusing to back down, snarled, "She attacked us. She was impersonating someone." Crack. Agent Arrow struck with precision. A single blow to his solar plexus crumpled him to the pavement. "Anything more you say will go straight into the federal record," she warned coldly, snapping handcuffs on him with practiced efficiency. Stanley, shaken by the scene, lunged at Mara in desperation, grabbing her hair. "You think this ends here? No one's coming for you." "Wrong." From behind the black SUV, another agent stepped out, towering, broad-shouldered, and dark-skinned. Without speaking, he moved like a shadow with muscle, slamming Stanley to the ground so hard the asphalt cracked. "You knew enough to draw blood," he growled. "Now shut your mouth." Mara stood still, watching both men writhing in cuffs on the cold cement. Her pain faded beneath the weight of what had just occurred. A reckoning. Agent Arrow turned to her, her voice softer now. "Lieutenant Colonel Collins, General Thorne requests you stand down. This is a federal case." Mara gave a quiet nod. In the distance, sirens approached, not local enforcement, but the sound of federal justice arriving point. 3 days later, leaked drone footage hit national media. The story spread like wildfire. A decorated Black Army officer assaulted by local police. The arrests were swift, federal, and public. Mara said nothing. She sat beside her mother in a sterile hospital room, silently watching the footage replay across networks. 2 men in handcuffs, a bloodied uniform, now a symbol in a nation forced to confront itself. Power doesn't protect you when the world sees only your color. This wasn't just another abuse of authority. It was a rare moment where truth cut through silence and the world saw it. the officer's downfall became a symbol of resistance against deeply rooted prejudice. Justice had arrived not with apologies, but with consequences. And this time, the world was watching.